Board of Education to a special meeting to order Thursday, June 13, 2024. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call by the Board Secretary, Mr. Stevens.
Ms. Bleich?
Here.
Mr. Holmgren?
Here.
Mr. Hyder?
Here.
Dr. Kopko?
Absent.
Absent. Mr. Mazur? Here. Mr. Warwick?
Here.
Mr. Reddick?
Absent.
Absent. Mr. Stevens, I'm here, present. Mr. McDermott?
I'm here, thank you.
Quorum established.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Public input on board agenda items only. Mr. Potts. Hope that mic's working.
Mike Pottsville, Hanover Township. I'm wondering where this work session took place that's on the agenda today.
What work session took place?
There was no
There was no work session.
It's on the agenda. So if there was no work session, when were these items discussed by the board? And how was it determined that something that was tabled a week ago is now good to be voted on and approved in the CTC operating budget?
That's a good question, Mr. Superintendent. Or Mr. Wolflino, whichever.
Well, from my perspective, Nathan sits forward. So some of the discussions that happen in the work session are matters that would involve things that are not privileged. One of the items that in particular, the CTC budget had issues that did involve both some legal issues and other matters. So that's one of the reasons why. So some of those matters got discussed in that fashion. The second item I can't speak to.
So the public, so this is a pretty big operating budget, pretty big allocation of taxpayer funding. So we don't get any insight as to why the board decided to table it last week and now are voting again to approve it this week.
You're not necessarily entitled to it, but with the board's permission, I'll be happy to explain that.
allocation of
Just give me one
taxpayer
second, Mr.
funding?
Pottsville. With the board's permission, you want me to explain it?
I have no objection, anyone?
Nope.
Have at it.
So there were some concerns about whether or not the CTC was going to be able to accommodate all of our children. And we have a legal obligation to make sure that all of those children receive the necessary education to which they are entitled. And unless or until I and the rest of the members of this board were convinced that that was going to happen, we were not going to even address the budget.
Okay.
Once that issue resolved itself, then the board called this meeting, and now they're prepared to deal with it.
We also, if I can add, we had a deadline of June 30th, did we not?
Yes, we did.
So couldn't, Nathan?
Yes.
So we couldn't wait till next August 6th meeting.
I'm fine with not waiting and calling a special meeting, but I don't understand how that would be privileged information that the public wouldn't have been allowed to hear the board discuss and talk about, because that's the whole point of these work sessions and the sunshine law, to provide transparency about how our funding is being allocated. It's taxpayer funding. I mean, it's public funds.
Well, again, I'll just say to echo what Mr. Buffalino said, we follow the advice of our solicitor. If he tells us an executive session item, that's how we take it, okay? And we just followed his advice not to discuss it at the work session or.
Well, I don't think I actually gave a directive not to discuss it at the work session, so I think that's a little misleading. But, well, did I?
I don't know. I thought.
I didn't, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't.
But that's just kind of what I'm trying to get at. There's a lot of things that don't get discussed in front of the public, and that's the whole point of work sessions and having these public meetings.
But it's also the same point of having an executive session. Those are matters that the public isn't deserving of hearing.
But what you just provided did not qualify.
That's your opinion, it's not mine. because in the discussions that we had in executive, there were very much legal considerations, which I'm not gonna get into with you.
No, but you gave me a very good reason to table the
It did.
budget, and it wasn't brought up last week. The public did not get to hear that. That's something we deserve to hear. If there were other considerations that had to be discussed in executive session, that's fine, but it seems like we're not getting all the information.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Well, I don't know what I don't know, that's my point.
I understand.
And I'm getting really, kind of irritated that I need to be let into this public building for a public meeting when on the opposite end of the building, the doors are wide open. Anybody can walk in. Why can we not have one of these doors unlocked so that the public can freely enter a public building for their public meeting?
I thought we had taken care of that months ago.
It's been months since I've been able to walk in here without.
I wasn't talking to you. I
I'm
was
sorry.
talking about- Yeah, but, yes, Lynn, can you make sure that somebody unlocks those doors 15 minutes before?
Sure.
Yeah, that should not happen.
No, agreed. So for work sessions that begin at 6:30, that door should come open around 6.
Okay.
And then in any other circumstances, a half hour before we meet here. That work?
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
And like I said, I would like to hear more about what is being discussed. You know, this site IQ, site logic IQ recommendation, all these bids. You know, that's a huge project that, again, I don't believe that would qualify for executive discussion. It has to be discussed. And I would prefer to start hearing about that during work sessions or even during this public meeting.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
We can have that discussion when the motion comes up. Okay?
Yeah, I would agree too.
See, I agree with that,
Yeah.
but I just wanna, from my standpoint, when the solicitor gives us advice that this is executive session
Right,
material.
and there was, I don't doubt that there were some parts of it that
There are, Mike, we're
shouldn't
not
have
trying
been
to hide
discussed in
anything,
front of us.
obviously, okay,
Just
but.
for future, just
Fair.
other
Okay.
things, yeah.
Yeah, no, and the other thing that I'll say too is this, that the purpose for work sessions and for sunshine law is for decision making. Very much, I can't speak to the bid portion because I wasn't involved in that, but as far as the CTC thing goes, there's a portion of that where it was really truly information gathering at that point. We didn't have answers to even begin to make a decision. We were waiting for answers from the CTC, and unless or until we got those, there was no decision-making process to be had that would even remotely invoke the sunshine law. And so, tonight is really, I think, the first opportunity we're getting to do that. Now, having said that, I understand your frustration and we hear you, but I think the rest of the board, we've done our level best to increase the level of communication, the openness in this place. And I don't want you leaving with that impression or anybody else leaving with the impression like we're operating some cloak and dagger, because we're not.
I agree, and I appreciate the latitudes that this board provides on a monthly basis. If I have things that I need to discuss, a lot of boards are not receptive and are very.
And we'll continue to do that.
And I sincerely do appreciate that, so, like I said, there are certain things that I would like to see improve, and I know that they are improving, in areas, so.
We welcome that input and
Thank you. I
we'll adjust
appreciate that.
accordingly.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, it's, like I said, a special meeting there's nothing under, no superintendent's report, no minutes to approve, general recommendations, no personnel, just financial. There's two motions, I'll read both of them because the second one has to be explained a little bit. The first is to approve the Wilkes-Barre Area Career and Technical Center Joint Operating Committee 2024 operating budget. It was Exhibit F1. Does anything need to be added to that discussion? I think we'll vote on one at a time, if that's okay. Is there any other further discussion on that? Not hearing here. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by, who was that? Mr.
Second.
Holmgren? Mr. Holmgren?
Second Orvik.
Second by Mr. Orvik. Roll call, please.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Mr. Holmgren?
Yes.
Mr. Hyder?
Yes.
Mr. Majer?
Yes.
Mr. Warwick?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens, yes. Mr. McDermott?
Yes. Now, item 2, award the following bids as per Site Logic IQ recommendations for the Henry Area School District / Memorial Stadium renovations. Bid 01, Hugo Blasting Services LLC. Bid 02, Penzita Enterprises Inc. And bid 03, Penzita Enterprises Inc. Mr. Solicitor, Mr. Superintendent, can you please explain those bids, please?
Yeah, so there was 3 separate bids. First one, 01 was a lead abatement bid, and that went to Hugo Blasting. The bid number 2 was miscellaneous metals, that's Penzita. And then the follow-up painting also need to be bid, and that's also Penzita.
The numbers, please, Mr.
Yes.
Sure, yes. So the numbers for the lead abatement were $485,130. The miscellaneous metals was $40,800, and then the painting was $156,400 for a total of $682,330.
And that's for the football stadium bleachers, correct? Or any more than that, Ethan?
Yes, so just to let everybody know, a Keystone Community Grant is gonna cover $433,000 of this.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for that explanation. And the numbers, do we have a motion for consideration?
Motion Orvik.
Mr. Orvik, motion. Do we have a second? Mrs. Blythe, second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Mr. Holmgren?
Yes.
Mr. Hyder?
Yes.
Mr. Majer?
Yes.
Mr. Warwick?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens, yes. Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Number 2 carries.
There are no other items for consideration. Do we have any other public comment on anything? Not seeing any. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Holmgren,
Second.
second by Mrs. Blythe. I heard her first. Roll call on the, or just all in favor, sorry.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion adjourned. Thank you. We'll see you all August 6th. Have a great summer, everybody. Y'all